What does it mean to you to be a captain on this team?
Yeah, it's an honor. Anytime you're appointed into a leadership role, I think it's an honor to be in that spot. I don't take it lightly. I know it's a responsibility, and I'm at the end of the day I'm grateful for my teammates voting me as a captain. I think it puts responsibility on myself to hold myself to a standard, but to also speak up when I see the standard not being met, and hold others to that standard too.
You were immediately comfortable, like last year when you became a captain, because I know that can be at times uncomfortable, awkward. When you have to speak up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a learning process. I wouldn't say I was comfortable from the beginning. Honestly, it's tough. You're friends with a lot of guys, and at the end of the day, that's what makes it, effective. I think, in my opinion, I've got relationships with these guys outside of football, so if I have to say something or if they say something to me, it's never personal. It's always trying to get the best out of them and get the best out of me.
Hey Terrell, Sean has talked about how the defense is going to rely on some young guys at times this year. We'll see what happens with the guys ahead of him, but Dorian Strong is potentially one of them this week. How have you seen him sort of develop throughout camp here and now in week one?
Yeah, I think the first thing that jumps off is just his mindset and how intentional he is with every day. He comes in and goes to work, and that's something that I really respect. I know how hard it is, for a young guy to come in here and play and contribute, and to rise to the standard that's been set here. I can't say enough good things about him. We all have confidence and faith in him, and he's shown that he can come out here and be a really good player. And it's just consistency day in and day out of doing your job, doing what you're supposed to do, being in the right spot every single snap, every single play, every single day. And he's shown that. So, I'm excited to watch him and, see him grow throughout this year.
Terrell, what are your recollections of that playoff game against Baltimore here, including the big punch out of the ball on Mark Andrews?
Yeah, it was a great game. We know they're a great team, physical. Obviously they got a bunch of playmakers, in their skill positions, and then they're really good up front too. So they're a really well-rounded offense. They get the ball to a lot of different guys, and they got after us the first game, honestly. We know what this game's going to be. We know the mindset that we have to have coming into this game, and at the end of the day, it's week one. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. We're excited to get ready and to go out there and play against another great team.
What about the punch out? I mean, it literally set up the game-winning points.
Yeah, I mean, it was a play that kind of had to be made at that point. But at the end of the day, it's a full team effort, and it's a long game. There's a lot of ebbs and flows within the game. So it goes back to our philosophy of stopping the run and then taking the ball away when the opportunity presents itself.
You guys, the last couple of years in season openers have been a little bit up and down. It's kind of an unusual week to prepare for because you've had such a long layoff. But what have you noticed about the team's performance specifically in season openers, and what do you have to do to maybe get off to a bit better at the start in these types of games?
Yeah, I think what Sean talks about a lot is these first four games are really decided by fundamentals and execution, and taking the ball away and taking care of the ball. So that's really been our focus and our mindset. Like you said, this is the first time that we're going to be out there for a full 60 minutes together in Highmark Stadium with the fans, with the crowd noise and all that stuff. So communication is going to be of the utmost importance, along with the things that I stated earlier.
Unique experience to face Lamar and Derrick because of the size and speed and ability, and it's tough for a rookie to possibly adjust that because they haven't seen that in college. What do you remember about your first time facing these two guys, and what wisdom can you share to the young guys that will face those two for the first time?
Yeah, it's a dynamic offense. Obviously you got Lamar, who's a multiple-time MVP, and you got Derrick Henry, who's been a rushing champion in this league for a long time. A guy that's physical, fast, can make you miss. And at the end of the day, it's really a couple of different styles of offenses that they can really get into. So that's the detail and kind of the communication that we're going to have throughout the week, and then leading into Sunday night is really understanding what type of offense we're playing. Whether it's going to be old school downhill run game, or they're going to spread you out and throw the ball around. I think that's what it comes down to, is understanding the opponent and understanding what type of offense you're going to get.
Just your reaction.
Contain Derrick more as you did in the playoff game than what happened in that regular season?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to our execution. He's a great player. We know that. We know how explosive he can be, and they have a really good offensive line that he runs behind. But it's going to come down to our execution, guys getting off blocks and population to the ball. And we do that, we feel like we're going to be in a good spot come Sunday night.
I know you play whoever's on your schedule, but when the schedule came out, your reaction to seeing Baltimore, true rival of yours, rated week number 1.
Yeah, I was excited. It's a great team. I've said it multiple times. Anytime you get to go out and play, a dynamic offense like this, you get to test, and see, where you're at. Like I said earlier, the first time we played these guys last year, they came out and they embarrassed us, and we didn't play up to our standard. We didn't play, how we needed to play. I think we've learned from that, and we understand, what we need to do to put ourselves in a position to be successful.
What kind of confidence does it give your defense to have Matt for this entire summer going into this season, and what he means to what you guys are doing collectively against the run and pass?
Yeah, he's a huge part of our defense. He's been that for years. I think his ability to really do everything well. He can blitz, he can cover, he can play in the run game well. I think that's what separates him is he's really good at a lot of different areas, and he's a dynamic playmaker for us. And then just as a leader, Matt doesn't say a lot outside of these walls, but when we're in here, he's one of the guys that's talking. He's setting the defense. He's doing things that are helping everybody else around him too.
Terrel, for you, there's so much preparation for the team heading into this week, the start of the season. Kind of what's the vibe as we head into Sunday Night Football, prime time to start the season against a team that we've seen in the playoffs and we're likely to see it?
Yeah, everybody's excited. We know it's going to be a challenge, but to get out there in front of our fans Sunday night, we don't take it for granted to be in that moment and to have the opportunity to go out there and display what we've been working on, and the connection of the team, and everything that we've built over these last few months coming together as a team. So we're excited. We're taking it day by day right now, just within our process to get ready, but we're really excited to get out there and put on display what we've been working on. Yeah, for sure. It's a different schedule. I feel like we've played the last few years. We've played a lot of Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night games. So having that routine down of what you're doing in the mornings, the film you're watching, the studying you're doing, the rest you're taking before you get to that moment. I think that's kind of what we've fallen back on, is just our process of how we do things, and the way that we prepare for the game. So it's going to be another game for us. Nah, yeah, not really. I don't think it matters that it's week 1. Any week we have the same schedule, we have the same process for how we're going about our business. So we'll stick to that and be ready to go.
Talk like there was a lot learned in that September loss to Baltimore that was applied to the way you tried to handle in the playoff game. Would that be fair that there was a lot carried between those two games?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, any loss, you have to go back and really see what happened, where you were wrong, what we can get better at, especially if you're playing the team again. And I feel like we were able to do that, and even from the playoff game, there's areas where we have to improve, and we're going to need to improve. And coming from training camp, coming from OTAs, building that connection, that preparation leading into week 1, it's gonna be fun.
Baltimore's week 1.
Yeah, I mean, we know. We know what it is. Like I said earlier, man, it's a great team coming in here. So we're gonna have to prepare, be ready, and go out there and play our best game.